Hi, I'm Greg Wathen. I'm President and CEO for the Economic Development Coalition of Southwest Indiana. It's been an incredibly busy year for our team, whether it would be working on the Regional Cities Initiative or managing one of the largest blight elimination programs in the state. We've asked our staff to do something a little bit different for the holiday season. That's to share with us their favorite Christmas memory.
My favorite Christmas memory was the year I got to pick out a brand new Gillis Schwinn bicycle from the store. No more hand-me-downs for me. It was my turn. I was 11 years old. I picked out a pink Stingray bicycle with a white banana seat, and it had a little basket on the front that had, it was a white basket, it had flowers on the front. The first day I got it, I rode it for hours around the yard and stuff. Then in the spring, I was able to ride it the 2 miles to my grade school with a good friend of mine, and we loved just riding all around town. I was also very proud that I put clackers on my spokes of the bicycle. I used playing cards and clothespins. That was the trick that everybody loved to do. It was who had the noisiest bicycle. Those were the carefree days of not having very many responsibilities. It was so much fun.
Growing up with 3 brothers and being the only girl, our house was always competitive, as you can imagine. So likely, our Christmas traditions were the exact same way. We would hunt the pickle. For those of you that don't know what the pickle ornament is, it's a small glass ornament that's shaped like a pickle. It's hidden on the tree, and the child that finds it gets an extra present. So we had a lot of fun hunting the pickle when we would come home from Christmas Mass. It would be, one year it was hidden in swaddling blankets and wrapped in the manger. Another Christmas, my sister-in-law, she actually sniffed out the pickle. It was a sliced dill, and it was hidden in the tree. We were not expecting it. Growing up, as we got older, we never really understood why my mom and dad started this tradition. I have 2 brothers that are red-green colorblind, and they have yet to find the pickle.
One of my most memorable Christmases was when my daughter was in 2nd grade and my son was in the kindergarten. I was working full-time and my husband was assigned to a job in Brazil, which was supposed to be a very short-term project. It ended up being over 9 months. It got close to being Christmas time, and Tony didn't think he was going to be able to make it home for Christmas, but he called me from the airport in Brazil the day before Christmas Eve and told me he was coming home. I was so excited about that, but I wanted the kids and his family to be surprised, so we didn't tell anybody. The kids were very excited when they finally did see him, but probably the most priceless piece was when his mom saw him. As a mother, you have all kinds of emotions going through. So she didn't know whether to laugh or to cry, so she ended up doing both. So I think that was probably one of my most memorable Christmases ever.
Well, you know, like a lot of Christmases, you're always trying to find out what your Christmas presents would be, and you sneak around and find the normal hiding places. And so one year, I had found a box that said missile, and I had been wanting a rocket, and I thought, my gosh, I'm getting a rocket for Christmas. And if you know anything about the Catholic faith, what we have, especially early on, you get prayer books and they call them missals. And apparently I didn't know how to spell at that time. So when I opened the present during Christmas, it was an engraved prayer book with my name, and it wasn't the rocket. And I didn't tell my parents until years later that I was actually expecting a rocket, and I had found the hiding place for their presents. And this is a great lesson for all kids. Stay in school, don't do drugs, and first of all, learn how to spell.
One of my most vivid Christmas memories was trying to fall asleep on Christmas Eve. Of course, the excitement and the anticipation of Santa coming kept everybody awake, as it does most children during the Christmas season. But my parents found a very unique solution to the problem. They would blare Christmas music, Christmas carols all night long at full volume until we were begging them to let us go to sleep. And so, of course, that had the extra benefit of covering the noises in Santa's workshop, and it also gave my parents an extra hour of sleep in the morning.
Well, at Christmas, our house was beautifully decorated, but my mother insisted on a theme for the Christmas tree. One year it was fans, the next year it was doves. So it was the 80s, so you get the picture. Well, one year we had, under this beautifully themed Christmas tree, were a ton of presents. But none of them had a name tag, so that was a problem. So Christmas morning, my brother gets up very, very early. He's never gotten up early a day in his life. But this Christmas he gets up early and none of the presents have a name tag, so he opens all of them. So by the time I got up, I saw the big mess on the floor. I was heartbroken because I didn't get to open anything, and that, to me, that's like the best part, the anticipation. But it wasn't a very happy Christmas for this melancholy 19-year-old, but it's my favorite Christmas memory. And I still rub my brother's nose in it every Christmas, because that's what big sisters do.
My favorite childhood memory of Christmas was decorating my grandparents' general store. This general store was so large it was the size of a city block, and it carried everything from milk to paint, nails, and hay for animals. It also sold gasoline from a gas pump that was located on the sidewalk in front of the store. Every Thanksgiving, after eating Thanksgiving meal, my 8 siblings and I would walk from Grandma's house over to the general store to decorate all the windows. We put up tinsel made of silver with lights and silver trees, the old silver trees that had the lights, the wheels that made it turn colors. After we finished decorating, we would unpack tons of fresh Brock's chocolate, which we would put out in the showcases for sale for Christmas. Of course, we all had to sneak a piece of our favorite Brock's candy. We watched as Granddad and Dad would work with the Belknap representative from Louisville to put out the latest toys, furnishings, and other items in the showroom. This was my favorite memory of Christmas.
Several years ago, I wanted a necklace for a pendant I had. And my husband said okay, but he wanted me to go with him to the store so he didn't mess up picking it out. So when time came to purchase the pendant, or the necklace for the pendant, he said, well, at least go off and look around so I can say that I bought this without you knowing. So we left the store, the necklace in hand, all was right with the world. Well, Christmas morning came and we had been unwrapping presents. Our kids were young at the time, and we had gotten through the majority of the stack, and my husband pointed at this tiny little package under the tree, just the size of a necklace box. And I was like, I grabbed it and I said, gee, I wonder what this could be. And I started laughing. And then I opened it up, at which point I instantly sprang into tears, which upset our kids who were little at the time. And inside the box was this gorgeous ring, which he had purchased without my knowing, and he had removed the necklace and cut a slit the size of the ring and rewrapped the package so I wouldn't know. So needless to say, it was a gorgeous memory, and he did a great job pulling one over on me, and the kids and I went through a lot of Kleenex that year, and he had the joy of knowing that he completely pulled one over on me.
Wow, my most memorable Christmas was one when I was in the 7th grade. I had just got my first full-time job. It was actually a shoe shine boy. I set up a shoe shine stand. My dad helped me build it in a local barbershop where I grew up in Tell City, Indiana. There hadn't been a shoe shine stand in our community for decades. And so I had earned enough money that I was going to buy Christmas presents for everyone. And I went down to Delby's department store, which is an incredible department store that no longer exists, but it was a block away from where I lived, and bought a porcelain cup and saucer for my mom. And it was one of those Oriental designs, and she opened it and she placed it on a table in our living room. And every year, when I come back to visit or when I go down to see Mom, there would be the cup and saucer. And it stayed there until she passed away just a couple of years ago. But that was an incredible Christmas for me, and one I'll never forget, because it reminded me every time when I was in her home of how much she felt about us by seeing that cup and saucer sitting there. This Christmas season, we're always caught up in the fast pace of what's happening around us, and we're constantly making up lists of what we want to receive. It's important that we give. So there could be someone in your neighborhood who needs snow removed, maybe just running an errand for them, Think about what you can do for someone this Christmas, and we encourage you to take that step.
Merry Christmas and